Welcome back to Counsil's Customs. The other gauge set that I had on here, I could not find the fitting that we needed to screw on to a refrigerant can. For some reason, I found the one and only hose that didn't thread on to a typical tap. Could not find a tap. Tried different ones off Amazon, looked at the stores. I've looked for adapters. I could not find anything that would fit. So I completely forgot that you could rent these until somebody told me, hey, why don't you rent them? Rent one from the store. I was like, because I forgot. I already bought that one, so I forgot the fact you could rent these from the store. So now, days later, O'Reilly doesn't have them in stock. I had to go to AutoZone and get one. But anyway, it's been sitting with that gauge set on the car since Sunday. So we're at Thursday now, and I just switched gauges out, just shut the valve off, disconnected, hooked up this one, and look, we're still holding vacuum. I just switched gauges. I didn't even repressurize the system or nothing. We're several days later, so we know that our system is good and sealed. I mean, that's tried and true right there. I mean, you let it sit for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days, and switching gauges out. I mean, anytime you can actually tap it and lose vacuum. But there we go. We're good on that. I keep sabotaging myself and leaving that battery disconnected. So the guy online that I've watched, and every time I haven't done an AC system in so long, I actually have to remind myself how to do it. I don't do this stuff every day, so I have to remind myself on how to do them every now and then. You gotta watch a YouTube video to remember. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it. Everybody has to get refreshed. So what I saw them do, and I'm remembering correctly, turn the car on and just turn the AC on low, which this car being this vintage air setup, we have low, and I believe once you turn anything beyond there, that's on the AC. But I'm going to go ahead and put it all the way to the coldest position on the lowest setting on the blower motor, and then go ahead and fire the car up. Alright, so we just did a quick double check of what your pressure should be, and it should be between 35 and 40 if your temperature outside is 70 to 75 degrees, which we're at 70 degrees right now, and everything's holding great. I can actually probably go ahead and pop those off there. And then here, man, this car is like cold in here, and I only have to sit on the lowest setting here, and I can only imagine what this thing's gonna be like in the Texas summers cruising down the highway. But my daughter is definitely gonna be cold in the back seat and everything. My wife is gonna be cold up here. Man, it's gonna be fun. Well, let me go ahead and get all this wrapped up, shut the hood, and be done with the AC system. I worked my butt off on it for a while, and I'm so glad to be done with it. And next step, transmission stuff. So let me go get that returned back to the auto parts store. And look at that AC whipping my shirt. Now whenever I want to cool down up here, I can just go sit in the car for a little bit. I ain't had that option before. Next step, transmission seals. So you have two different seals for the transmission. You have this one. It's like a press seal. It's like what you put in the backside of the transmission for the slip yoke. I'm trying to think of what else has this kind of press seal. I can't think of, like a wheel bearing seal, all that kind of stuff. We have that one that has to go in there, and also an O-ring seal. I'm not sure which one goes in what order, but we'll see as we take it off and we'll figure out which one goes where. But now we have to take the shift lever off the car, which means we have to drop the oil pan, transmission pan, drain the fluid, and then we got to start taking that shift lever off so we can replace the seals because our transmission's leaking from that point. So we can get that taken care of, and then we'll top it off. We'll fill it all back up and top it off, and we'll see if we got gears. But before we do that, we got to get the seal fixed. Otherwise, we're just going to be filling it up to drain it again. So let's just get it filled up one time after we do this replacement. So let's get this replaced, and we'll go from there. All right, so now we need to get all of the pan bolts out of here and drop the pan. And we're going to try to catch all the fluid we can because we're going to try to reuse this as brand new fluid that I have in here. Here we go. Now this is what I'm trying to get to. So I have to pull this nut off of here so that way all of this will be free. I can pull this AOD lever off on the outside, and then I have to pull this roll pin out right here, as well as this big nut you see right here. I have to pop that one free, and then this shaft will slide out. And I can see already our gasket right there. So I have to get this shaft out so I can get to that gasket. So it's pretty labor intensive, and I'm tied up underneath the car. So let me get all this out of here, and then I'll show you what we got to do to it after that. So there it is. That's the gasket we got to replace. So all the shift lever stuff is all out of the way. Let me get that popped out of there, get the new one in. We'll get all this put back together. I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally scared because I'm terrified of transmissions, and I just took this one apart. So I'm not gonna record because I'm trying to keep my sanity here for a couple minutes while I put all this back together. Okay, so we got all this put back together. So you have to take this off. You have to remove this nut, pull your TV lever out here off, and that also frees this up. You pull the roll pin out of here, and then there is that nut that I told you about. Take that off, and then you can slide this out. You can replace the gasket and go back in reverse. I had a miniature heart attack when I was under here because, if I can get you where you can see, that spring right there fell out, and then I had to figure out where that went again. I watched a handful of YouTube videos, found that it went back in that spot, watching a couple of them back to back, figuring out how each one of them went and matching it up to multiple different ones, not just seeing one guy do it and being done. But all this is put back together. You gotta make sure whenever you're putting it back in that this TV lever right here goes right on the end of that, because this can slip back too far and it misses this and it winds up locking it out behind it, and then you have no line pressure. So you have to make sure that goes back in the correct spot. So that's all put back together. Everything's done now. I can go ahead and put the filter on and button it up, and I think I'm not sure yet. I'm debating on if I'm gonna put a little bit of gasket sealant on this rubber gasket that goes on here, just to try to seal it up a little bit more to make sure that we don't have a leak. But it wasn't leaking before. It was leaking, I fixed it. So I'm not sure if we're gonna do that or not. So let me get y'all set up, and we're gonna start going back together. So after we put fluid back in it, it's real hard to get an accurate number on it. I say number, but an accurate reading on your dipstick, because whenever you fill it up, you have remnants still on the inside of the tube. So what I'm going to do is let it sit overnight, let all that fluid go back down in the pan. We'll be able to pull the dipstick tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to give an inaccurate reading because it's not running. We'll pull it, see where we're at there, then fire it up, let it run, then check it again. We'll see where we're at. But as of right now, I'm not seeing any leaks down below. We've got it filled back up with more fluid than what we had before. I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm going to leave it there for the night. And then we'll jump back on it tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. So that's where we're going to end it for tonight. And then tomorrow we'll get another look at it, and we'll all go over this together, because I think I'm not going to say anything. We'll look at it tomorrow. So we're going to end it here for the night. And I'm going to do a little bit of research whenever I go home. I'll let y'all know what I'm coming up with shortly, but for now, give me a minute. So we're up here at the shop today. I just got the car up to temperature and let it sit overnight last night. And basically, I thought we had a bad transmission because I was putting it in gear and it wasn't engaging. I had to give it quite a bit of throttle to make it engage. But I let everything get up to temperature today after letting it sit overnight. Checked it now, and now I'll show you what we got. So there we go. We have forward and backward gears. Now we got to do a little bit of running. So we're going to leave here for a little bit, let this cool down. Then I'm going to set it back down on the ground, do a test with it sitting on the ground, see how that does. And then we might take it for a little cruise around the block here. Let me run and go take care of the stuff we got to take care of. We're going to check on this stuff whenever we get back, double check, make sure. As of right now, we're not having any leaks down underneath the car that we fixed yesterday. So all that stuff is good. Temperature's holding great. Everything's running great. Now we have a good working transmission. Next step, test it on the road. So we're going to get it out of here and put it on the road here in a little bit. So I'll be right back with you. So there she is, outside, and man, I can't tell you how many months. First order of business, I got to run it over to the gas station right around the corner over here. I got to get a little bit of fuel. Second order of business, we got to wash this car before we do anything else. It's horrible. Whenever you get inside, I'll show you. I mean, look at the roof. And the whole windshield is dirty. I mean, like, it looks better in the camera than it does in the car. But we're gonna get this over, we're gonna get it washed, and then we'll do a little cruising around the block back here, see how it does. So you saw us drive the car. We got the car all cleaned up. We drove it around the block. And we've got first and second. And that's it. And it should have 1, 2, 3 overdrive. Right now we just have 1, 2. So got on a Facebook page for AOD transmissions. Asked them what the symptoms of doing that could be. What they said is it's possible that it being just the 1, 2 and not going into 3 and 4, that it could be the governor valve. So to do the governor valve, we've got to jack the car back up, drop the drive shaft, put a jack stand underneath the transmission, pull the transmission cross member, pull the tail shaft off the transmission, and then on the tail shaft actual piece, the actual shaft that comes out, there's a governor on there. You take it apart, fully clean it, and put it back together. So I just ran to the store to get some little wire brushes to get down in the governor real good, some brake clean, the stuff that they said to use for it. It's transmission. I mean, I know how to clean stuff up, but I just want to make sure that I'm doing it the way they say, because transmissions are so finicky and they scare the crap out of me. I think I've said that a couple of times on here. I'm terrified of messing something up inside of a transmission. I'm pretty positive that I didn't make whatever the problem is that's going on with this happen. I think it's probably from it not running and being sit around for a while. Either that or it was broke whenever I bought it. It was one of the two. I haven't really pushed it to have an issue. So my goal here is to get it jacked back up, pull the drive shaft back out. We're going to pull the tail shaft piece back off. We're going to get the governor out. And we're going to clean the crap out of it. So let me get this car jacked back up and pull the drive shaft back out of it, and then I'll slide y'all back in while we get under there. So this right here is our governor. So what we're going to try to do is you got to disassemble everything out of it and then leave it in order. So that piece comes out there. Ooh, what are you? Off to the left there, and all of that, and then I believe that's it. Yep, that's it. So now that we got all this disassembled, we're going to clean up every single piece, run our wire brush through it all, clean it all up perfectly, and make sure there's absolutely nothing inside of this. We're going to make sure that this is not why our transmission isn't working. It's free. It's easy to try. Let's try it before we go any further into digging into stuff and we've got to spend a bunch of money into having a transmission rebuilt or anything like that. This is free. It just takes nothing but our time. So let me get y'all set up on time lapse and I'm going to start running through this. So we got the governor all rebuilt. Now I'm going to take it, go back underneath the car, go put it back up into place, lock it back down, and then we can start reassembly on the tail shaft stuff and pour the fluid back in it and go for a drive. See if it works. So let me get this back on and we'll reassemble again. All right, it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen the station wagon, which for this video, it's not going to be a couple of weeks. It's going to be, y'all see all of the transmission struggles we've had all along. Now, will I be able to finish it in this video and get it all fixed? I don't know. But we bought a shift kit from Transgo, so I'm going to rebuild the valve body. So I'm going to take that out of the car, We're gonna do this together. I've never done it. I have no clue what I'm doing whenever it comes to this. But luckily, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube. We'll be able to figure it out. So I'm going to get this pulled out of the car. I'm gonna get the car jacked up. I got a big pan from the local Walmart so we could try to save as much of this fluid as possible. I'm tired of buying more fluid. So we're gonna try to save as much of this fluid as possible. Get the car jacked up. We're gonna go ahead and drop the oil pan for the transmission and pull the valve body out. And I'll clean off a spot on one of these tables in here somewhere, and we'll get a nice, good, clean surface to tear this thing apart and rebuild it. So let me go ahead and get this jacked up, and I'll get y'all set up. I don't know if we'll go slow or if we'll go fast. We'll find out. Y'all just keep watching and see. But we're gonna get this jacked up and get that pulled out of here and move forward. What makes y'all nervous? Clowns? Is that what scares you? Roller coasters? You know what scares me? Automatic transmissions. So anyways, let's take this one apart. And there's that gasket. Also, why would they send gaskets in a box? Fold it up. I feel like every gasket should be shipped laying flat. I never understand the fold up a gasket and send it to you thing. All right, so we just got the valve body fully rebuilt. You had to punch out this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole. There's one under here. Might have been that one. I don't remember. It says it in the instructions. There's one of these holes you had to punch out. All of that stuff's done. Everything's rebuilt. It did get a little sketchy because the kit calls for this one and this one to be new, their style, which is here and here. And the original was, so that was the original here and here, these two. And then it calls for, if you use the Smart Act and ACCM system in separator pack, that's this. So this is their other setup to use. It's supposed to be better for shifting. I mean, it's a shift kit, so why not use all the shift kit pieces? But we got that. I'm gonna leave a weight on this overnight to get that to lay flat, hopefully. So tomorrow, whenever we're trying to put it up underneath the car, we're not fighting it at all. So that's what we're gonna call it. It's midnight, Saturday before Easter. I'm gonna let this sit up and call it a night. See y'all tomorrow. Okay, so I'm up under here, and this one is the third accumulator. Right up top is the overdrive accumulator. So that is right there. So I do still need to drop that one. This one is reverse. We got one over here, which is fourth gear accumulator. Okay. I haven't taken that out. It's not here. This is the first time I've had the valve body out of the car. Once again, I did get this transmission used. We don't even have a fourth accumulator. The only other thing I could think of is maybe the snap ring broke and we lost it out into our bucket here, which I'm gonna go fishing. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But that's the only option. Either that, or I've got to try to find online where to buy a 4th accumulator. So I'm going to fish around in there. If I can't find it, I'm going to see what I got to do about buying one. But that might be our shifting. Well, that still doesn't explain our shifting problem because we had 1st, 2nd, just not 3rd, 4th. I think doing a valve body cleaning is really going to help it. Doing all the accumulators and all that stuff. I think this is most likely going to solve our problem. If it's not, then it's not. But us not having a 4th accumulator is a big problem. That's pieces missing out of the transmission. Because that's what the 4th accumulator looks like. I mean, it's got a spring, rubber seal, reuse the snap ring, all that stuff. I mean, there is absolutely nothing in that hole. I didn't pull it out. It's just not there. Is that why the person took this transmission out of the original vehicle? Let me fish around in this fluid and see if I can find it. Okay, so with me doing extensive research online, from what I found is an AOD transmission goes from 80 to 93. Okay. Now, in 1988, switching from 88 to 89, your transmission changes. So that 3rd, 4th accumulator that we're missing in the transmission, that is the difference in between a 88 and an 89. 89 and up don't have an accumulator. 88 and older did have an accumulator. So that you would think, okay, cool, answer the question. But I found, whenever I was trying to figure out what is what, they said on these, see that little star right there? They said, look right here in the circle. You'll have your little star, and then next to it has a number. Mine's 3. So what it is 80 will be a 0. 89 or 81 will be 1. 82 will be 2. 83 will be 3. 84 will be 4, so on. Nobody said once it crosses over the next year mark and goes into 91, 92, 93, if that would be a different number, if it's still a 1, 2, or a 3. So I'm guessing this is a 93 transmission. This is the correct valve body. Nothing looked like it ever been opened up prior to me getting into this and changing the filter and doing all that stuff. It looks like I'm the first one to do this because these were definitely factory parts inside of here, and this is the first shift kit it's ever gotten. So I'm going to go with the fact that it's a 93 and it does not have an accumulator. There's a hole there, but it said that it's just an empty hole. Like, there's no provisions inside of here for it to work. Now, I looked and I cannot find online what provisions are different and what holes to look for it to have that accumulator. So basically, long story short, we're going to wing it. We're going to bolt it together. I don't know if this is going to fix our problem with the car or not. It's just kind of throwing parts at it. But $45 for a shift kit, and we got a shift kit also, and we got a chance to really clean out the fluids in the car and really clean every little part inside of the transmission without going super internal. It's worth the shot. So there we go. All we've done so far is just pull it outside. Transmission's functioning as in putting it reverse, backing out of the shop, putting it in a drive and pulling out. We're about to go for a couple laps around the block here. We're gonna see if it cycles through all the gears. We're gonna see what happens. So here we go. Give it a shot. See what it does. Second, it might have just been in first. I'm gonna go all the way to manual shift. We're gonna go first, second, and see what happens. Still first. 42 miles an hour at 3,000 RPM. This transmission's gonna have to come out and get fully built. Something's internally wrong. Well, we took the loss on this one. I don't know what we're going to do moving forward with her. I'm going to have to take some time to sit and think about it. We don't have a transmission. It's not operating properly at all. I was hoping that I did everything that a handful of guys on an AOD page told me to try. Everybody was saying most likely it's just bad. So I tried all the couple little things to try. Y'all saw me go through it in the video. This has been several weeks in the making, trying to get all this stuff to work out. I even went as far as to rebuild the valve body inside of the transmission and put a shift kit in it to try to see if that would help us, what we could do. At the end of the day, we took the loss. Car does not have an operating transmission. I really would hate to spend all the money that I have and go backwards and put the 3-speed back in it. But it worked. So I was just really trying to put overdrive in it to really make it an even friendlier highway car, which it was a pretty decent highway car before. I was just trying to make it an even better highway car. I don't know what we're going to do, because in a weekend I could jack the car back up, slip the other yoke back on there, put the transmission crossmember back where it was, put the other transmission back in the car, and drop the pan, change filters, make sure all the gaskets are sealed up and all that stuff, put new gaskets and all that on there, and put a torque converter in it just because it's out. I mean, it's got 100 and something thousand miles on that car. I think I started to feel it slip maybe once or twice ever. It's already out. I could throw a torque converter in it and just move on about my life. And this would probably be a pretty freaking solid car. And I could save all of this setup and then later on take this overdrive transmission and put it in something else. Maybe that F100, because if I built that engine right there and then actually sent this transmission out to a shop and had it built, or we rebuild it ourselves, figure out how to actually open up a transmission. I mean, it's already a junk transmission. We can figure out how to rebuild it ourselves. Worth a shot. I don't know. We got options. We got things to think about. We got things moving forward. Next week, we're going to get back into the Hudson. Now that we're at a standstill on this while I think about what we're going to do. And we'll keep on rolling. So, y'all do me a favor. Y'all see my struggles. You see where I'm at. You see the amount of money I put in these hot rods. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Try to help me get up to where maybe we might start making a $1 or $2 off of this YouTube thing. So that way we can keep this thing rolling. Because at this rate, I'm going to lose the shop. All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.